Hey YouTube, this is Prometheus giving you guys more of the meta. So I want to share with you basically a defensive scheme that I'm going to be going ahead and throwing into my defense. Defense is really difficult right now, and usually when the Madden game first drops, defense is pretty loose and tightens up. The only thing I don't like about the game right now is that zones don't play as strong as they should. They should be actually be reacting a little bit better to the ball, and you know, you just kind of have to adjust around it. But I want to show you my mentality using this penny defensive scheme. You can find this in the Titans, but there's it is a bunch of different playbooks and stuff like that. And I'll be working on the scheme. Also throwing in some other like some dime 3-2 packages too. So let's go and jump into this. I'm going to show you how I set this defense up and on my philosophy behind it, and how I set up and run defenses, how I run my defense online. Still trying to get things figured out. First and foremost, one of the adjustments I made is that I'm actually going to go ahead and have auto flip feature on. For the longest time, I've actually had it off, but I think because you want to have making sure you're matched up to the SWAT wide receiver, you want to do that. I'm also going to go ahead and put this at base and line. So that's another adjustment we're going to do. We're going to do base and line. Option defense is conservative, strip ball conservative, and then tackling is conservative. So all these are conservative. These are your preference. I definitely say one thing you would definitely want to do is conservative. You want to take away anybody that's run with his quarterback. You want to make sure that's not an option. So if he's using any kind of read options and stuff like that. So how I set up the penny defense is the following. I'm going to use cover 4 quarters as my base defense. That's what I'm going to come out of pretty much all the time unless I'm going to send some type of aggressive blitz. I like palms because it does mess up people's reads, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to palms as my top audible. I don't use a lot of man blitzes, so I'm going to go ahead and use the Saw Blitz 3. This is a nice blitz, and then what you can do is you can quickly audible these guys into zone drops just to really cloud things up. And then also what I want to do is I want to use basically cover 9 and cover 6 coverages. So in this type of situation, if I see basically a wing set, I'll actually jump into a coverage such as cover 9, but I actually just jumped into the cover 3 coverage, and he ran the ball right up the middle of the field right there. So let's go ahead and set up the rest of our defense. We're going to go ahead and put this as a cover 9 defense, and then I'm going to flip the last audible. I'm going to jump into a cover 6 defense, just so I've got hard flats. And I'll explain to you the reason why I do that a little bit later on. All right, so here's the first example why I jump into either the cover 9 or cover 6. You could see that we have a wing formation. We've got extra blockers right here, and then obviously got a running back, and I've got 2 wide receivers on this side. Now, these guys typically, you know, tight ends are not outrageous speed. They're going to be like mid 80s or so as average speed. You might find some person might be eclipsing 90, but they're not going to be beating you over the top of the field. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and jump into basically a cover 6 coverage. And then a lot of times what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this defender right here with the thought that really I'm not going to get beat over the top. I can come down and play strong against any kind of runs to the outside. So I didn't get the defense set up completely. I still stayed into cover 4. And you can see right here he goes into mesh concept. We're going to have a defense for that a little bit later on. But you want to find out if someone runs mesh. Usually if I have a guy that plays tight formations, I'm going to have a mesh set up, and I'll show you how I set it up. It's very simple. So back at it again. So now I'm going to go ahead and jump into cover 6. I've got a guy down here playing a flat defense, and then usually what I like to do is I like to take the safety over and play a little bit deeper down in the box. I'm going to play a run fit to the outside and force my opponent to take the ball on the inside where all those defensive linebackers are at. So you can see I'm actually checking on Murray. He does a little off tackle run. He actually falls forward for a first down, but you can see that it was very crowded for him using that power Rell, and we're going to go ahead and attack that a little bit later on. Now he goes into a trip set, and what we're going to do is we're going to jump into formation. He quickly snaps right there, and you can see I've got the defensive back on the end, and I actually pulled myself out of position. I was actually trailing right there, and for some particular reason I pulled myself out of position. That was just a bad situation by me, a bad user by me, but you could see I was in that area, and that was where I needed to go. So right here he actually goes with basically a bunch set. He quick snaps the ball and does a little outside run, but you can see I force him back inside to my defender, and it's just working on user tackling. So let's just see if we jump into cover 6. So we do. All right, so basically I've got a palms formation. I've got palms over here where I've got this guy playing a flat. I've got a quarter, and I've got a quarter over here, and then I've got basically a flat zone defender and a guy that's going to play over the middle of the field. So I've got this. Usually in this type of situation, I should be jumping on this guy right here, and I'm going to take my defensive line. I'm going to slide him over to the left. So if he tries an outside run, he's going to get out leverage, and I can shoot the gap and bring it in. So let's see what we do. If I jump off of Murray, if I stay on him inadvertently, I do stay on him inadvertently, but you can see he tries a counter play and actually tackle him for basically no gainer in that type of situation. Now, whenever I see trips formations, I like to jump on the palms, but it is a 3rd and 5 situation. So I decided to go ahead and just use a very aggressive blitz. This is basically an engage 8 blitz. He jumps into a screenplay, which actually works really good against like man blitzes and zone blitzes and stuff like that. So screens are actually back into the game, and this is something you want to consider. But it was a 3rd and 3 situation. I decided to go ahead and jump into this. So now I go back to the wings formation. He showed me a counter play, so a power row counter. So I'm going to slide these guys over because I know I've got a lot of run fits with this defense over here. I'm going to pull this guy down to the box, knowing that I've got basically pretty much all the run fits all taken care of. He does a little counter play. You can see right here actually tackles, and he gets no yardage on that. So that power row is just basically out of it. Now, anytime I see tight formation, I'm immediately thinking there's going to be some type of mesh concept. With this, I'm going to have a little stick, and I'm going to have a wheel route. So a lot of times what I do is I just take my defensive end and I put this guy down into flat, and I'm going to user this guy right over here and hold my matching principles hold. So let's see if we set this up correctly. So I'm going to play right there. See how this defense set up? This is with the goal of actually going ahead and trying to take away any kind of a mesh concept right here. I've got a lot of edge pressure going off the edge, and I actually goes in the bench. But this quarter's defense actually locks it up pretty well. He doesn't know where to go with the ball, and actually go ahead and get him into a 3rd and 15 situation. So he loses yardage on it. So now I go ahead and try to hit this guy up with a heavy man blitz, and I got my guys out of position because he's got a quad formation. So I slide over my safety over here, and I think I'm trying to blitz him just so he can actually take on another blocker. And my job is to carry with this guy. He's my responsibility. That's the guy I'm supposed to carry with. And you can see I get leverage. I'm actually carrying with him, and right here he gets away with just a good animation and no animation by me. So that's one thing I think EA really needs to clean up. I think that there should be a penalty if you're throwing against someone's user. If your user's in the area, I don't think that's really good. He does basically just a run play right here, and I actually get myself out of position. I think I come down, get sucked up into a block, click onto this defender back, he gets out leveraged, and Moore is able to get the ball in. But I like that defense. I think that's a smart defense right there. He just quick snapped that, and he got me out of position. So we're going to go jump back into this play. One other thing too, and I noticed this when I was looking back at it, I like to have my slot corner in there. The way the penny defense works is that you have a safety down in the box, and I was using someone that's really not that good of a player, so I'm going to go ahead and put my slot corner in there where I'm going to have a better defender. Once again, coming out of cover 4 quarters is my base defense. And right here, if I've got basically 2 wide receivers, so I've got a wide receiver here, number 2, and I've got a 2 and a 1 over here, and a third wide receiver. You just play basic quarters, and then just user this guy, slide these guys over to go ahead and take away from an inside zone, make it hard for him to leverage, and just kind of run the defense that way. Another trick too is actually to go ahead and block your guy right here. So you can see he doesn't really know where to go with it. He's scrambling with his quarterback, and he's not able to get the ball off. I get him into a 2nd and 10 situation. So now, anytime I see trip sets, so I've got basically 1, 2, 3 defenders. I've got my solo running back, and I've got basically this guy over here. What I like to do is use palms coverage. I'll slide my line over to get away from the running back to take away any kind of inside zones. I'm going to take this guy, drop him into a flat. I'm going to take this guy and put him into a 3rd. And my responsibility as a user is to wall off this guy from carrying over, and then I'm going to come down and play the box and watch for any guys coming over the middle of the field. I know that this set is going to match with these guys. These guys are all locked up, and all I have to do is just really worry about this wide receiver number 3, and then once he carries over, this guy's going to pick him up on man coverage, and I can still play within the box. So that's my responsibility when I set this up. I love seeing trip sets. Those are like my favorite thing ever. Actually, I did jump into, it looks like a cover 9. I'm seeing him coming down there in box. He actually throws me on a corner route right there, which was really good play right there. It was a good decision, but that's usually what I jump into when I play it. It wasn't palms, it was actually cover 9. But palms, cover 6 and cover 9 do have a lot of the same principles. So I decided to go basically with quarters right there. He gets a nice little 4-yard gainer, gets to the outside of my line. Okay, so now I'm seeing a tight set. So really what I'm looking at when I see a tight set like this, I want to go ahead and take my defender, put him in a hard flat out here. I've got a soft flat. I'm going to go and user this guy right here and look for that mesh concept. He did show bench to me earlier, and you can see this is kind of like a little crossing game. I sent my guy after him. He does not get rid of that ball. So there was a wide receiver that was open on that particular situation, but it was a mesh spot play. And I'd like to go ahead and drop that down. So let's see if we set up palms correctly on this particular play. So we do got palms set up correctly. So I've got these guys slid over. I'm using this guy. I've got this guy down to the hard flat. I had him in a deep third, and then I'm going to go ahead, and my responsibility is to wall this guy off if he does a crossing route and then just play underneath. If he does have a drag route underneath, it's going to get picked up by this hard flat. So I just have to play the middle of the field and just hope he doesn't have any time. So right here, I'm blitzing my guys. So the offensive line acknowledges basically four rushers. He's making a couple adjustments. I'm walling guys off, and you can see right there, I was falling into position if he tried to run pass, hit that tight end over the middle of the field. So he had basically levels concept with that. Now we go into basically a 4th and 6 situation. So you could see right here, he's actually got 4 wide receivers. Now this is a bad decision by me. In this type of play, I should be taking this guy and using this guy and leaving this guy in a hook zone and just making sure I defend over the middle of the field. You're going to see why this actually became a bad situation for me. So I got this guy down in the box. I want to get the users engaged. Now I'm carrying with this defender, and I pulled away, and as a result, my yellow zone was not playing that correctly, and as a result, he was able to go ahead and throw over my guys. So that was just a bad decision right there. You know, this is one of those things where you just, when you get into these formations with quad sets, you got to know your responsibility with this. Now I decided to go with a kind of a heavy man blitz. Get to the outside with my user. I'm able to go ahead and get a tackle right there. Only give them about 4 yards. These guys, these offensive lines really push hard. I'm going to jump into cover 6 right here. Now, once again, I should be sliding this line over because he has been showing me basically kind of a power roll play. I'm going to take this guy down to the box, and I'm going to go ahead and take this guy and put this into a deep third, just so he can fall back a little bit further. So he does a play action, and the deep third is out there to play that correctly. I've got another defender that is falling into that zone, and we're able to go and pick him off and get a nice little interception against my opponent. I end up lighting this guy up for a touchdown on a one-play touchdown with a verticals play out of my spread playbook, and he ends up quitting out. But I want to kind of show you my defensive philosophies. I'm going to keep working on it. Hopefully, Madden and EA patch this game a little bit, make these defenses play a little bit tighter, because sometimes this defense is just a little bit too loose right now. They need to play their responsibilities and not float around and not react to the ball. So thanks for your support, guys. If you guys want to see more gameplay, I'll be probably putting out some type of a Titans playbook. I'm also be jumping in some other playbooks just to try to find the right defense that I feel that's going to be successful and can leverage these match responsibilities. So thank you for your support, guys. Until next time.